Workers Rights Reasoning. Tonight, welcome to Belizean Workers Rights Reasoning with Sista YaYa, Marin, Coleman, and Brother Dean Flowers. Tonight is the night that we have a guest. We are going to end at 8 o'clock tonight. At 5 minutes to 8, Brother Dean and I want to give you exiting remarks. So at 7:30 for the participants, make sure you get team 7:30 to 7:55 because 8 o'clock we lock off. Brother Dean, you had a hectic day.
Yes, Sister YaYa. Good night, Belize. Good night, brothers and sisters out there. Welcome to our guest tonight, Brother Nelson Young. Always an interesting conversation with your Brother Young in terms of organization, the union movement, his experiences, and so I look forward, as usual, to engaging with the brother tonight, Sister YaYa. Full day, but nothing that I cannot manage. I still think that that if I am able to, as everybody else know, manage our time, we would be able to still be able to get more done. So I'm not a complaint yet, Sister YaYa. So I have the energy to go for the hour tonight.
Good. Time management is so absolutely important. So without further ado, Brother Nelson Young, senior unionist, it's not his first time as our guest. And he, in having a conversation with him, brought up the point of how important planning is within unionism. And we know the old saying, if you fail to plan, plan to fail. Yeah. So Brother Nelson, where would planning be defined and explained to union members and executive members so they get from day one that planning is a way of life as union members?
Let me start by saying how 2005 started against the previous PUP government under Sista. We had a liaison officer meeting at the Belize Communication Workers Union about salary. We basically talk about salary increase, right? Anyway, there was a suggestion made to change the meeting to others, right? And we took a vote, and upon the vote, we went to others, and we decided that the government not only may sell out the assets, but when you sell out the assets to your country, you don't have no way for the country to make money. So what that does is it brings hardship on the people who have to pay more and more and more in taxes, which is still happening. So we decided to make a plan of action against the government. We then invited workers unions, the YaYa Workers Union and the Belize Electricity Workers Union, right? To a meeting, which they accepted. We showed them our plan and they improved on it. And then we took it to the National Trade Union Congress of Belize. From there, that movement started and you could see how big it got, but it was always planning. We also had people behind the scenes help plan, because I think some unionists think it's just about them, but it's not just about them, it's about all of us. You need your members' help, you need the community help, you need the students' help. So with planning, my belief, with planning, we could put a plan of action in place where I really turn this country around for us, the Belizean people, and not just for the foreigners. I always see what happening in this country every day upon the news. Mining this, mining that, the different things will happen. And if you look at what happen, it's all about foreigners. It's not about us, the Belizean people, who will be reaping the benefit that our country can provide for us. We have resources, and the people I believe not have use of the resources, because like it's there only for the foreigners to reap. Unless we could put a proper plan of action in place where we can not ask the government, but demand that the government do what we want, we will always fail. And sooner or later, we starve now, but we are starved more.
Within the plan of action, and looking back at the past collective action of unions a couple months ago in Belize, one of the valid critique is, and this would be a part of a plan of action, is the absence of continuous consciousness raising or education. And so because the majority of Belizean people did not understand the issues,
yes,
they seem to have flip-flop position. Some unions seem to have been in solidarity and others did. We were lost. And that has everything to do with a plan of action. You did nod your head, tell me.
There is also the separation issue, right? This past one, you could say, but other unions when they come more strong, then you notice them. Look, like I said plainly, right? For some unions, money are the main issues today, right? But money cannot always be the main issue. The main issues have to be good governance and put things in place where we can see not only public servants, but ministers going to jail. We cannot do this by just sitting around. I mean to say, unions supposed to be about advocation. I could listen to my brothers and sisters in a Zoom chat, the past information, very intelligent information and other things, but if you don't sit down and put a plan of action in place, we are not going anywhere. Because we need to advocate, and we need to start diverse. Different people need to start do different things. We need to start hauling our members from each individual unions to make each of them play a role. We need to get the ideas from the people, what they want, how they want to be governed. So we have to make this thing all inclusive of everybody. But we don't need to do that. The National Trade Union Congress of Belize, as I see it, for the most part, they want to do everything. It can never work. It can never work. Because the people out there, for instance, don't know what it's all about. You have members of unions. When I know what's happening because their executive, the people elect, does not carry the information back to them. And vice versa. Those executive does not bring back information from the members to the Trade Union Congress of Belize the way it should be. So for me, the planning starts with how can we bring the Trade Union Congress of Belize together as a body? Meaning, the 10 we have? A 10 union and everybody, 10, 11? As it went up?
I think we're now at 13 unions, bro.
At 13, right? We have to call together the executive and put on a plan of action. Starting, and it have to be with how to make the union stronger and we as one. Because if you notice what the government always do, right? When one union get up, they fight for whatever, the government would say to the National Trade Union Congress of Belize or other union, this is not your problem, right? Which is wrong because whatever problem any union faces is a problem for all of us.
Yeah.
And our problem where we carry through because the actions they are doing start for one union, but they were carried forward to the other union. So the divide and conquer tactics is always there, but now we have to figure out together. And I do must still have someone around the table, we play the political game. When their party is in power that they don't do nothing. And when the other party they in power, then they want advocate. But this is not so. As a unionist, you're supposed to worry about it. Workers, I believe, the labor force. how we could get tax to feed our people. You understand? But we are around that table and have all the ideas. The members have the ideas, you know. The members are the one who can do it. The people of Belize are the one who can do it. Because you get the Belizean to bind to a plan, and if you get the Belizean public to also give you their ideas to be implemented, then you're already winning, because the people are going against what they want. It's what they want. So we have to sit on our plan. And for me, if your plan succeed, it have to be bring us together first. One. The other one, we have to make sure that the members of the union have access to the National Trade Union Congress of Belize. For when their executive is not doing what they're supposed to do, they have somewhere to go and report them, just like we, the Belizean people. The government not do what we want to do. Who we have to turn to? We don't have nobody but the Trade Union Congress. But then if the Trade Union Congress is weakened, then the whole country weak. And people have to bear in mind that when the government go about the Trade Union Congress, they need to remember that the Trade Union Congress are the working people in Belize, the ones that pays the tax, the ones that bear the brunt of anything that happens in this country.
One of the things is that a lot of us don't even know, even care what the Trade Union Congress of Belize. So we don't even understand union culture. Union compound, we read when they compound news and then only 10% of the population are unionized. So most of it don't have no connection, no, they're just so nice makers. That's one. Secondly, this space is an independent space. It's not a union space. It's a Belizean Workers Rights space. And it's something that hasn't been done before, where every week anybody could come and have reasoning. Individual people in their capacity and for their power could then use the wisdom or the experience and then go use it wherever they want to go. It creates a more public and transparent space of conversation and equality, because anybody could come. Now, based on what you say, we don't do it then one way, no sit down there and part the politics, because you have to look, you have to be strategic. I said there are always stumbling blocks. How you deal with your stumbling blocks? I will answer that, and then Brother Dean, go ahead.
And for me, what I've always told the younger people that I've spoken to, right? The diehard PUPs and UDPs does not win an election. It's the swing voters that win election, and they're the majority. So majority of people you can reach, but we have to work, and we have to work hard. I remember in 2005, we used to get out there and we used to buy our own REMA papers, print off information, and we used to go out there, go give it out on the street side, you know, whether I buy Brad's or Albert Street, or get other people to just pass our information. We need to start a walk. We need to start a walk in the same
COVID-19, you know. COVID-19 pandemic real, like COVID-19, you talk about start a walk.
They brother, they say they talk about COVID-19 they are meeting all over the place and they cluster up, but they are telling it to the people. You know, we need to start a walk, the walk, and talk to residents, make people understand. We need to do what the politicians need to do. We need to start a focus. You say Trade Union Congress needs to evolve. They have not evolved for over 40 years, as far as I'm concerned. They need to evolve. They need to start thinking differently. We're in our unique position where we could actually, as far as I'm concerned, tell our third party, you know what? We go together. Make we agree upon certain points. You know, make we start to support each other. This will be the best thing for the Belizean people. You know, we need to start doing more than we do, because And I think we do enough. And if you notice what happened after 2005, they really went after all strong-headed union members. You know, I used to talk about George Price, make people had to left the country. When a UDP government get in power, that we used to sit and talk to on a continuous basis along with the Association of Concerned Belizean. After they get in, like they don't know you. You got the brother Paul and Christine Perrott, their life got destroyed. They had to move back to the States. Then I believe that when we come back home to serve their country, I had to run back to the States because of what they did. Paul Perrott right there, they work with AT&T. They are brilliant minds. So good technicians. We lose the good technicians. Then the ministers from both sides would go up on the TV. They have the heart to go up on the TV and say, we're not gonna know technical people. But they were the one that closed down Belize Technical College. They were the one that closed down Belize Technical College. How can you run a country without technicians? Any country need technical minded people. That is why Taiwan may pay there. That's why Taiwan may pay there. You have to get skilled technical people. So how can you close down the only school where we provide that? Because they are free-minded and they may start a riot in 1981 there's about. How could you do that? So for me, that we sit down, put a plan of action in place, execute. I think we could do that in 6 months. We are serious. You know, but it have to be a long-term plan. Because Belizean need to understand anything we do right now, not just this. It will take a while. It's a journey we have to work. We stop all the corruption and the madness, that journey we have to take. You know.
Yeah. Well said, bro. You spoke extensively, giving us a historical view of what occurred in the past in terms of the 2005 movement, the planning that went in behind that, and the need for us to now go back to that stage of planning and trying to organize ourselves under the umbrella organization. Now, you also touched on the fact that some of our unions have been affected because of political interference. And I hate to use the term that unions have been infiltrated by, because look, at the end of the day, these unions are comprised of workers from the respective sectors. And
That is so.
The reality remains that whether you represent the Public Service Union, the Belize National Teachers Unions, the Communications Workers Union, the WASA Union, the Electricity Union, look, you're a Belizean, you're entitled to a vote, and you're entitled to have a political view. Now, I will say, of course, that we expect that you will leave your religion and your politics at the door when you step into the union room, right? Now, the cry has been that, for the most part, we have allowed people to step into the union room with their political and religious views. And that kind of have thwarted and impaired the ability of unions on a whole, as well as the umbrella union, to effectively carry out its mandate and to hold government accountable where national issues is concerned. And from an individual union standpoint, we have seen the case whereby the courts, no other than the courts, have chastised union members or union leaders because they have effectively abandoned the people they're supposed to represent. So, yes, we have to confront what some people like say, oh, the elephant in the room, that we have been compromised because some of our leaders have allowed their political views and their political bias to affect their decision making and the objective of their unions. However, are we supposed to point fingers on those unions, on those union leaders, or are we supposed to be pointing fingers on ourselves?
Dean, brother, as far as I'm concerned, how I deal with problems, how me, Nelson Young, deal is face it head on. I am of the view, me personally, that yes, we must call them out. We must call them out. Because if you don't call them out, everybody will walk like chalk, like they walk on chalk. He has to stop, man. He has to stop. This cannot continue no longer. How much longer will this happen? We are losing our country. How longer shall we do it? Huh? You watch a big fight when Brother Floyd Neal was the president of the National Trade Front. He could not get anything done because there was an internal fighting. For what? Just because someone wants to lead? Who was stroking that fire? If you are showing that much that you are going against your own brothers and sisters who are trying to do something for the country, somebody have to stroke your fire, man. It don't make absolutely no sense. You want to lead so bad? Man, come on. It has to be called out at some point.
Your audio is not on, Brother Dean. Your
Yeah,
audio is not on.
Dean.
What about here? You're breaking up.
Can you okay, it's probably
that's why, Brother Dean, let us just finish this point. I've always said the National Trade Union Congress of Belize, which means an executive from each union should go and meet members of each individual unions to get their viewpoints and to see where they are at. If we don't do that, we won't succeed because some of the executive isn't bringing what the members really want. And we have to do it.
Yes.
We must put things in place.
Can you hear me now, Sista YaYa?
Yes, Brother Dean.
All right. Yeah. So I'm hearing you, brother Nelson, but we also have to be careful, as well as we have to identify where the problems are where the problems exist that causes these hindrances. First of all, we are brothers, or we ought to consider each other as brothers and sisters. And so our first duty is to help each other grow and to correct each other when we see wrong being done. That's our first thing, right? So we have to ensure that we're not attacking. Sadly, personalities, people view correction as attack, right? So we have to figure out a forum how we can have an informed decision, because let me take, for example, the Public Service Union, of which I am a member of, which a lot of aspersions, whether right or wrong, has been cast upon past leaders. But I think the manner in which we discuss these things came off as attacks on these people rather than educating the membership about the missteps of these people. When the judgment came out for another sister union, the YaYa Union, we didn't take the opportunity to sit down in a forum like this to go through that judgment to show where the leadership of that organization erred. And then nobody wants to talk about it. And sure as hell, nobody wanted to talk about it around the NTUCB table at that time. Because remember, with a one click versus that click, right? So no, let me get to your point. The National Trade Union Congress of Belize, you are in accordance with you, needs to find a way to go to the membership. You have to be careful. We need to find a forum such as this to have the discussions that affect the different unions. Such a forum has to be created under the NTUCB. Why? Because the constitution of the NTUCB is clear that each union maintains their autonomy and their independence. And so you do not want to infringe on those people's space and then tell you what the hell you did do ya, because my union maintains its autonomy and we run this how we want. Who are you to try to influence policy? So the NTUCB, I agree. The NTUCB has a duty and a responsibility to ensure that the conversations happening around the council table is reaching the members of each and every union. But we have to be guided and we have to be careful which forum we'll use to ensure that happens. And I think such a forum as we have here tonight is perhaps a forum that the NTUCB needs to address so that we can go over the national issues that are affecting each of our members.
All right.
We have another 3 minutes before the segment ends.
You said it exists in the Constitution, right?
Yes.
What is a Constitution?
It's a living document.
It's a living, breathing document.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you breathe or not, but
that should evolve over time.
Yes, my brother.
That should evolve over time.
Yes,
paper make out, after a while, paper disintegrate. So you got life in it. It's which has to evolve when certain things start to perk ahead, and we have seen that things for so many years. So why has we not evolved and put in the checks and balances that we need to do to correct what must be done? So then the question we need to start asking ourselves, because we are shy on it, and we could always find excuses as to why we should not or do not want to do something. Our decisions have to make.
I agree, my brother, and it starts with the addressing of that constitution. So a lot of things is wrong with it. I sit on several non-governmental organizations, and I'll speak to two in terms of how their constitution is structured. One, without calling the name of these organizations, one is you formulate a quorum, and this is one of the difficulties, of course, that impairs the TUC, is that, and TUC, of course, Trade Union Congress, for those who may view and don't understand the acronym, the Trade Union Congress is the issue of ensuring that people understand the commitment that is required to ensure that we carry on the business of the Congress, and that each and every time members are present and that we can carry on with the business of the day. In many instances, we struggle in that arena. One organization in which I form part of is meeting is called to order, quorum is met. It does not matter who leaves. That meeting continues once quorum is established and decisions are taken in the best interest of that organization. If you did not, if you felt that it wasn't important for you to be part of the conclusion of that meeting, then don't come back crying when decisions are made in your absence. That's one organization. You're demitting the meeting before it's concluding does not end this meeting and does not render this meeting or decisions of this meeting null and void. That's the first thing. The second organization of which I form a part of is meeting is called for 9 a.m. The GenSec waits. After 30 minutes, the GenSec informs the chairman, in accordance with the Constitution, we have not met quorum as at 9 a.m. Now we must wait 30 minutes after that time for the meeting to commence officially. So the Constitution empowers those members who showed the interest, made the effort to be present, to carry on with the business of that organization 30 minutes after the appointed time. These are some of the changes that needs to be made within our own constitution at the TUC to ensure that not a single month pass without the business of unionism, which affects us nationally, is not attended to. And those are some of the changes that yourself, myself as trade unionists will need to push at the upcoming annual general meeting of the Congress, where a new constitution or a revised constitution is expected to be adopted.
All right, stick a pen because we are staying on point tonight. It's 10:31 and we'll go ahead and it'll now be time for the participants to engage until 5 minutes to 8. And this is where Brother Dean takes the leadership. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, yeah, 7:30. I know that joining us tonight, we have Sister Pitts, Brother Glenfield, Brother Hubert. Please feel free to unmute yourself, raise your hand, and join the conversation, whether to make a point or to ask a question. Tonight, we're discussing planning and organizing, primarily planning. And earlier, along with some of the comments that Brother Nelson gave us tonight, we were having a conversation with reference to some of the difficulties, some of the obstacles that are hindering the planning part of this conversation, because you cannot plan if you can't even get people around the table. And so we see a good brother, David and Melindaris, right now leading a movement whereby he's trying to get people to come together to plan and organize to effect necessary change. This time not nobody will just wow change out of necessary changes needed, necessary changes required. And one of the most difficult things that he's experiencing right now is getting people around the table so that we can have the conversation to commence the planning. And so, Brother Nelson, I turn it back over to you for any comments in regards to that.
Well, we really want to hear from Brother Hubert. If he's on,
yes.
You know, because he's a very senior man and he has been around much longer than I have.
Yes.
In fact, I wanted to chip in indeed. But Brother Nelson has a very good point, and in fact, I think Dean did respond to it. And I think you all both made good points, because indeed in the union movement, there are going to be persons who would use the union to promote their own persuasion. And so what I think, though, having had that experience myself, I think the best way to counter it really and truly is to recognize it and to be able to, because at the same time one group will perhaps, let us say for instance in the union there is a PUP crowd and a UDP crowd, and when the UDP the PUP make more noise and vice versa. That's what happens in the unions. So I believe that instead of perhaps confronting it, we could use it to advantage, where perhaps having recognized those persons who are more vociferous when their party is out, then you use it to advantage by attenuating the other persons. I mean, the persons who are perhaps PUP when UDP in, then let them come to the fore to a certain extent so they can actually advocate for changes. So we have to use our own strengths to advance our cause and not necessarily destroy our own people in the process, because they are members and they will have that situation in every situation. And so it's just a matter of recognizing your strengths and weaknesses and using your strengths to move forward, and at the same time make sure that your weakest link does not disintegrate so they don't hold their own. There's also going to be a difference of opinions, and we have to allow it to continue, because that's what makes us strong to a certain extent. Even with this COVID right now, it's the COVID thing right now. I mean, there are some points that are made by the anti-vaxxers. You can't dismiss everything. So that's what I think we have to do with this whole matter. It might be frustrating, yes, but it is sometimes a blessing that you have those persons in the mid, because on the other hand, the persons who are, let's say, UDP right now, they would be able to help, and if UP can also help to kind of go talk to own people, and they might be able to make things easier for yourself when they go negotiate. So there are advantages on both sides, and I think the effort has been made really as well to downplay that, perhaps to ostracize those persons, but maybe we could include them strategically for the greater good of the movement. And that's what we have to learn to do as unionists. Thank you very much.
Excellent point, Brother Hubert.
It's true, because we can't move forward. We cannot move forward if we don't call it out. And that's why I say, for me, the strength lies in the members, right? And different union leaders must stop acting as if the union is theirs. It's actually for the members. And until we could get the members on board, really and truly, we got far to go. Because the members should be the backbone. I mean, say you cannot be a good leader if your members are strong. So you have to bring up your members. You have to bring up your members. But we can't leave it on the back burner. We have to start somewhere. We have to start.
Okay. Thank you very much, Brother Nelson.
But I think that along with that, though, I think that the unions have to also develop positions which are union positions, which are workers' positions. Yes. And that's where perhaps we have to, like you said earlier, but again, that you have to reach across our members and to teach them about unionism, because it cannot be indeed that when you're inconsistent. So when a party changes, you no longer believe in union principles.
Yeah.
And so we have to hold to certain core beliefs, and we have to hold our membership responsible or accountable to that. And once you can do that, then we could, despite our perhaps difference of views or certain issues, we could be able to coexist. Because we have had occasion where, for instance, in our union movement, we have had to discipline certain members. In fact, to extent of expelling certain people from the union. I recall years ago we had a resolution from the union, and the president was not wanting to carry it out because of the fact that he was affiliated to a political party, and so he had to be expelled. So that there are certain core principles which you cannot really breach, even though you're allowed to have your own political view, you cannot really then use it to go against your membership, and then that will then be crossing the line. And so it's important to establish positions and as a union and what we're going to go with, no?
Yeah. And one of the other ways that I think that the unions, and again I will speak of the union that I come from, the Public Service Union. I think one of the ways that we need to ensure, one of the ways in which we will be informing and educating membership so that they can not only be engaged, but that their faith in unionism can be restored, is to ensure that we challenge each and every attack on workers in the courts.
Yes.
We can no longer allow government, successive government, whichever government it is, to continue with the victimization the unlawful dismissal, it's really sad that what we have seen over the last 20 or 25 years in Belize, the attacks and unjust treatment that has been levied on workers, and only in few cases have those workers individually taken their cases to the court, and in most cases have won. I have never seen a case outside of perhaps what we're seeing perhaps with the teachers, whereby unions start taking cases to the court to challenge decisions by government. And so that is one area in which I believe we need to go, and that is one area that we are going to say to members that you are not alone. We have a duty and a responsibility to fight this if it needs to go all the way to the CCJ, because remember, here in Belize, we have a politicized system. We now have an attorney general who is supposed to be an advocate of workers, but whose office is dismissing workers with absolutely no cause. With absolutely no cause. Now, will we succeed at the lower level courts in Belize? Maybe. I hope we will. But it should never stop there if we don't succeed. We need to go to the Supreme Court. We need to go to the CCJ, because in the region where unionism is much bigger than Belize, and where there are industrial courts, and where they will look at these conventions that we've signed on to, such as the 158 that you speak to, Brother Nelson.
Yes, yes.
I am sure that justice will prevail. And that is something that I am committed to do as a unionist, to restore faith in the union movement, and for unions to understand that they have a duty and an obligation to go as far as their conviction lies, to prove to governments and to prove to employers, because remember, the government set the tone. And so I appreciated your comment earlier when you said that everybody problem, or every union member problem, supposed to be your problem, because sooner or later it will come to you. And if the government is saying to employers out there, who by the way are their financiers, that they can terminate people and treat people unfairly and however they want, then what do we expect from the private employers there out there? That just time.
They're all playing the same ball. But
exactly.
It's have up your hands here a while now.
So, sorry, my apologies, Sister Pitts. If I missed your hand, please go ahead.
Good night, everybody. I did not have up my hand.
Well, I see it's still up.
I did not have up my hand. That's an old trick.
No, I see it up.
No, never have up no hand.
It's still there.
But I am listening and I'm thinking to myself, I am hearing words of wisdom. These young men are speaking words of wisdom tonight. Because everything so far that I've heard, I agree with. And I am thinking that leaders need to be creative. And I like when Dean mentioned how the two unions operate. That if you see that there is something that is creating an obstacle, you have to deal with it. You can't just rely that the Constitution say and the Constitution say and you go along with that. You have to go around that. You have to know how to surmount that. And I think there are organizations and unions that have used the fact that if we don't have a quorum, even where the Constitution doesn't really guide you as to what will happen, we will still have this meeting. We will come to the decisions. We will get in touch with a sufficient number of persons that will make a quorum and get their views on the decision. and we will forge ahead. You know, so leaders have to think outside the box. And I think that is one point that needs to be made. Now, when I functioned in the union years ago, I don't remember. Yes, there was an instance indeed that Hubert referred to, that we had to expel a president. But I think that was the only time that I remember coming up against a blatant political person, political thinking, you know, leaders that clearly was taking a political path. And Hubert, if you remember, that person fought back and went to the court and had an injunction placed against the whole union that we should not have any meetings, we should not make any decision. You know, it was a big thing. But I don't remember anything like that happening since then, that you actually expel your president. He goes to court and a court case and sues over it. But leaders have to be creative and not give in to the pettiness that surrounds them. And it comes with experience maybe, or it comes with introspection. I mean, you have to know yourself and know who you are. What are your weak areas, your strong areas?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that a lot of talking has happened. You know, we are here talking, and I think we need to do more than talk.
We do.
I guess the steps will be baby steps, and this is one of them.
We do.
I always feel though that if you are not surrounded by persons who have the vision, the vision of the union, you know, it isn't your vision as the leader. It is the vision that the union. Is it that those around you have that vision? Do they understand and know what needs to be done to get that vision executed? And always remember, as you gentlemen have said, that the membership is the base, that's the strongest part. The power comes from them. It isn't those at the top. But you have to dialogue with them. You know, they don't even know that they are the strongest link. They don't know that. A lot of them don't know. They don't understand. You know, they think that the executive is the powerful body. You know, those women and men at the top, they are the one. They don't understand that they are only there to carry out what the members want. But then they don't know what they want because they need guidance and they need awareness and education. So the thing has to be understood, and those around you have to understand it, because you alone can't do it. One person won't do it, one or two persons won't do it. You have to get those around you to have that vision and that understanding and that commitment. And I was telling Brother Dean the other day, I don't know if it is because we are not, I don't know how much travel was being done before COVID, but definitely when you rub shoulders with people who are not in this country and are in unions, you get a perspective, you come back with a certain fire when you see what others are doing. I don't know if that has caused some type of a decrease in people's interests or commitment, you know, membership not having the opportunity to really go on training. Maybe it is just training. If the training is not consistent, if the training is not being done, and what kind of training? You know, I see Brother Nelson as if he wants to say something. I see your hand up, Mr. Nelson.
I must concur with you, because in Belize you hear about a lot of forums taking place. But what comes up from that forums after there is never is never seen. You know, if they even act upon what they have, what the forum was all about, if they even act upon what the forum was about. So it stands to say that, yo, we got our meetings, we got our forums, we got our different things, but what you bring back? You not bring back nothing? You just go for the trip? So, in a lot of ways, we really dropped the ball. I remember when we had a situation 2005, 2006 there about when two of the executive of the National Trade Union Congress of Belize, the Ghana, apparently the Prime Minister told them he needs something to sign urgently. And without coming to the Trade Union Congress, they're gonna sign. And immediately there was a meeting the other day where they was forcibly removed. You understand me, Dean? They sat on boards. And some of them believe that when they sit on a board, that's their right. And that they are not responsible to the Trade Union Congress of Belize, which is wrong. You know, anybody that sits as a board have to report back to the Trade Union Congress, especially where decision making is to be made. I think we actually lose the footing where we had. And until we start give out the history of unionism, to make our members understand and make the Belizean populace understand what it's all about and what it has got them. We're not going nowhere. The education process must be foremost. The advocation process also. You realize that we have a labor commissioner for another country, and if I can plainly say, if she was doing the things she is doing here from the country which she came, she would not have been there. So we continue to make government bring in other people instead of using our qualified people to fill some of the voids. And there's a purpose for it, as far as I'm concerned. There's a purpose for that.
If you stick up in there, brother, then
1 second, Brother Dean. Okay. It's 10:52. So we have 3 more minutes, and we have Glenfield Denson with his hand up.
Okay.
So we go ahead.
Go right ahead, brother Glenfield.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, my brother.
I really just I'll say, Sister YaYa, and Brother Dean, I joined to listen when Brother Nelson speaks. It's not to discount what you've done, Brother Dean, but I was actually particularly interested in listening to Brother Nelson, because he hasn't only talked, you know, he's lived it.
Yeah.
So kudos for that, Brother Nelson.
Thanks.
I had only planned to listen, but my thoughts are flowing, and I want to just let out a few of them. I keep hearing a few things, and I'll just address a couple of them now. We know the rhetoric is the union is its members. That is we are clear on that. But what I'm wondering why the disconnect is that we're not getting from what happened in the last time we tried to mobilize the unions against a pecuniary issue. They were cutting salaries. My brother, if you couldn't unite the union wrong 10% salary cut in numbers, that could have sent a strong message to the government not to do that, then it is clear that we're doing something fundamentally wrong. And while I hear the cry for education about what the union has done, I'm going to say I don't think that is sufficient. Because the one thing for you tell me what to do, no. But if I know the feel you, then that's a different story altogether. And I think what we really need to make national issues be felt is we have to focus on the membership. we do things to uplift particular members or particular groups of members at a time. Each of our unions have members that have key issues that they need resolved within them. And so I think, at least in the short and medium term, while it is nice to think of national issues, in the short and medium term, the focus for planning, for all planning for unions, well, majority of the planning needs to be focused on activities that benefit members. Here why. My thinking is, what happened when we tried to rally with the 10% is that people couldn't feel, people never feel. I was out there, no, Brother Nelson.
I know, I saw you.
People don't feel the effect of the union as when people like you were in the unions. Because you may know that your union had your back, not because you think it or you read it or somebody tell you the union had your back, you feel it.
Yeah.
You understand? So in, for example, a public service union, there are so many members who have live issues. People get transfer out of turn. People that has open vote for 12, 13, 14 years, my brother.
Excuse me, have another minute, Brother Glenfield.
I need 30 seconds more. So if there, I can list those issues, but we know what those issues are. And if we don't attack those issues, then people in the union, the members, won't feel that the union has their back. And I think if we attack those, the natural consequence of it will be when the call is made on the unions to come out, they will come out, because then they won't have heard of the effect of the union. They would have felt it, and everybody that has been touched by that effect will come out. And so then the national issues will naturally be a part, because when your executive who has been fighting for you on real issues that affected your life positively, when that union leader calls upon you to come out, you won't come, because you've uplifted that person to a point where they know the effect of the union is of unionism. So that are my 2 cents. And I think that's how.
Thanks very much, brother. It's 10:57. Brother Nelson, you have a minute. Then Brother Dean, you have a minute, and 8 o'clock we're out of here.
Okay, for my last part, I just want to focus on the C158 again. Because in the last union, the mandate for me to put out there, the demands we want to make, I never see not way involved labor issues. And that was a disappointment for me. Because if we can't fight for laws to protect the members, then we also fail. That's on my part for now.
Respect, brother. Thanks so much for the conversation as our guest tonight. Brother Dean, final thoughts?
Yeah, well, first of all, I want to say thanks, Brother Nelson, for joining us, and thanks to all the participants who contributed tonight. Just quickly, in terms of the comments that Brother Dennison said towards the end, I think they're all on point, and I hear you, my brother, in terms of people want to feel and they want to see the issues that are affecting them being addressed in our effective manner. However, it would also be unfair on the union, and I say this in terms of, not in defense of past leaders, but if you look at what the union has done over the last 3, 4, 5 years, I would say that the union has actively been addressing these issues, not as in the numbers or as efficiently as we should have, but one of the things that, again, we have allowed to cast, and I'll end shortly, Sister YaYa, is that the grievance mechanism that is in place to address the very issues that you speak of lies within a secretariat that is controlled by the politicians, by the Ministry of Public Service. We know that the politicians do not restrict themselves to policy, but rather to administration. And so they can frustrate that process easy. For us to break that barrier down, again, you need people power. And as you rightly said, when people livelihoods they get affected, where this 10% was come up, they didn't see the need to defend their own livelihood because it wasn't the union defending itself. It was you, it was each man, woman, and child standing up to defend their livelihood. So I think some responsibility also needs, each of us needs to also take responsibility for some of the failures that we have allowed the unions to fall into over the last years. But again, we're here today, new leaders, new individuals, new players, and we can only learn and hope that we learn from the past. But I thanks and appreciate your comments very much, my brother.
Respect everyone. Thanks for participating tonight. And I want to always go back to leadership. Leadership. My position is, if you don't come to the table as an incredible person, I want history that I have led and know how to lead, what would you vote for? You don't have no history of being credible and being an effective leader. What would you vote for? Look, they have one saying, once a past behavior and good indicator of present and future behavior. Hello, no trash. Thanks everybody. Have a good night. Wearing a mask, stay on the 6 feet away and washing them. Hands every 20 seconds and self-isolated if you don't need to. Have a good night. Beautiful show, everybody.
Good night.